The lecture hall buzzed like a hive of bees. Lila Chen slouched in her seat, chewing the end of her pen, staring at the chalkboard where Professor Glorb's tentacles had scrawled, "Cultural Integration, Alien and Human Ethics." Her notebook lay open, but instead of notes, she doodled constellations. The class was Alien Anthropology 1011, and Lila had signed up mostly because it fit her schedule. At 19, she wasn't chasing dreams of galactic diplomacy. She just wanted to graduate with a degree in linguistics and maybe land a job translating alien dialects for a tech company. That was her plan. Quiet, safe, predictable. Around her, the room teemed with life forms that defied every rule of biology she'd ever learned. Zirak, her friend from the astronomy club, sat 2 rows ahead, his chitinous exoskeleton clicking softly as he scribbled notes with 4 clawed hands. His wings, a shimmering kaleidoscope of green and gold, twitched nervously whenever someone bumped his desk. To his left floated Kuthra, a gelatinous purple blob who communicated by projecting holograms of emojis. A trio of amphibious students from the planet Varn huddled near the back, their gills flaring as they whispered in clicks and whistles. Lila had once tried to greet them in their language, but they just stared at her until she gave up. The first contact accords had promised peace. 5 years ago, Earth's leaders had opened universities to alien students, claiming it would foster unity. Lila didn't care about politics. She cared about passing her finals. Still, sometimes she wondered why the squid-like Professor Glorb taught human ethics. How could a being from a planet where democracy meant ritual combat understand Kantian philosophy? The bell chimed. Professor Glorb oozed into the room late, his gelatinous body rippling crimson. His voice boomed through a translator collar. "Silence. We have urgent news." The room quieted. Zirak's wings stiffened. "War," Glorb said, pulsing darker. "It has begun." A murmur spread like wildfire. Kuthra flickered a red warning sign. One of the Varn students hissed, "Lies." Before Glorb could speak again, the ceiling exploded. Lila ducked, hands over her head as plaster rained down. Not debris, screams. Dozens of students tore off humanoid disguises, revealing scales, claws, and armor beneath. A 6-legged reptilian girl flipped a table, snarling. A boy with obsidian skin and glowing veins pulled a plasma blade from his backpack. "Traitors!" Zirak roared, leaping onto his desk. His wings unfurled, slashing at a nearby attacker. "You lied to us!" Chaos swallowed the room. Lila scrambled backward, her chair screeching against the floor. Someone shoved her. She stumbled into the aisle, dodging a blast of blue energy that scorched the wall. Kuthra dissolved into a cloud of sparks, fleeing through a ventilation duct. The Varn students hissed, their gills flaring crimson as they joined the fray. "Out! Everyone out!" Glorb bellowed, but his voice drowned in the cacophony. Lila's heart hammered. She'd read about alien riots in the news, but this was her classroom. Her pen, her only weapon, clattered to the floor. She bent to grab it, and a shadow loomed over her. A girl stood there, once human-seeming, now monstrous. Her skin had turned metallic gray, her eyes glowing silver. She held a device that crackled with energy. "Humans," she spat. "You think you're safe here?" Lila backed into a desk, knocking over a jar of Glorb's preserved tentacles. The smell of formaldehyde stung her nose. The girl lunged, a blur of movement. Zirak slammed into her, mandibles snapping. They crashed into a bookshelf, sending textbooks flying. Lila didn't wait. She sprinted for the door, dodging fights, and overturned furniture. Outside the campus was a nightmare. Smoke billowed from the science building. Students, human and alien, ran in all directions. Sirens wailed. Above, the sky darkened with ships shaped like jagged teeth. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mom. "Are you safe? They're attacking. The coast." Lila froze. The coast? Shanghai was on the coast. A deafening roar split the air. She turned. 2 alien soldiers dragged a wounded teacher down the hallway. His face was bloody, his sweater torn. One soldier, a hulking creature with horns and a spiked tail, raised a gun. No! Lila screamed, stupidly loud. They turned. The horned alien grinned, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Zirak appeared behind them, his stinger dripping venom. Run, Lila, he hissed. She ran. Lila's lungs burned as she sprinted down the smoke-choked street. Behind her, the university campus erupted into flames. Alien ships buzzed like hornets, firing beams that vaporized cars and trees. Screams echoed from every direction. She didn't know where she was going, just away. Her phone buzzed again, but she didn't dare stop to check it. A deafening crack split the air. A reptilian soldier in black armor landed in front of her, claws scraping against concrete. His eyes glowed red. Human, he hissed, raising a jagged blade. You're not safe here. Lila froze. Her legs refused to move. The alien stepped closer, his tail swishing like a whip. Then, thwump. A spear of chitinous bone slammed into the soldier's chest. Zirak. The insectoid's wings hummed as he yanked his stinger free. Run! He barked, shoving Lila toward a crumbling subway entrance. They dove inside, landing hard on the platform. The lights flickered. A group of survivors huddled near the tracks, a woman clutching a bleeding arm, a teenager with a broken leg, an elderly man in a lab coat. At the far end stood a tall figure in a spacesuit, his helmet tucked under one arm. Lila recognized him. Instantly, Commander Ravi Patel, the astronaut from the canceled Mars mission. His face was pale, his hands trembling. What's happening? Lila gasped, crouching beside the wounded woman. Patel's voice was grim. They lied to us. All of them. He gestured to his cracked tablet, playing a live feed. Cities burned across the globe. Tokyo, New York, Cape Town. Alien ships hovered like vultures. They infiltrated governments, armies, even our schools. They waited for the perfect moment to strike. Zirak clicked his mandibles. My people. Some of us knew. We tried to warn the others, but they called us paranoid. His wings drooped. We were fools to trust. A girl in a torn hoodie limped forward, holding a jagged metal shard like a knife. And you? Why should we trust you? Zirak flared his wings, his voice sharp. Because I just saved your friend's life, and because the ones attacking us are not my people. They're pirates, mercenaries. They used our name to hide. The survivors fell silent. Lila's mind raced. She'd spent years studying alien cultures for class, but nothing prepared her for this. The first contact accords, the peace treaties, the exchange students. It was all a lie. Or maybe it was real, and Earth had simply been too naive to see the danger. Outside, the ground shook. A ship's shadow passed over the subway entrance. Lila peeked out. A massive alien cruiser hovered above the city, its hull bristling with cannons. Troops poured out, herding terrified humans into cages. One soldier kicked an old man who stumbled. Lila flinched. We can't stay here, she whispered. They'll find us. Patel nodded. There's an emergency bunker 2 miles east. It's part of the old lunar base program. If the signal's still working, we might have a chance. Might? The girl with the metal shard snapped. It's better than waiting to die, Patel said. They crept into the streets, sticking to alleyways. The air reeked of burning plastic. Lila's sneakers slipped on blood or something worse. Zirak took the lead, his antennae twitching to detect danger. The group moved like ghosts, dodging patrols and wreckage. Hours later, they reached a graffiti-covered warehouse. Patel punched a code into a keypad. The ground shuddered. A hidden ramp slid open, revealing a steel staircase descending into darkness. After you, Patel said. One by one they climbed down. The bunker was cavernous, lined with dusty computers and crates labeled, NASA Do Not Open. Lila collapsed onto a bench, her body aching. Zirak crouched beside her, his exoskeleton cracked in 3 places. You're hurt, she said, pulling a torn shirt from her backpack to press against his wounds. It's nothing, he muttered. But thank you. For the first time, Lila noticed how young he looked. Beneath the armor and claws, he couldn't be older than her. A screen flickered to life. Patel typed furiously. There's still a signal, but it's weak. He turned to the group. We need to send a message. Warn the world. The girl with the metal shard scoffed. Warn them about what? That we're all gonna die? About this, Patel said, hitting a button. The screen showed a satellite feed. The invaders' ships clustered over Earth's major cities. But then, light. A blinding silver glow pierced the clouds. Massive shapes descended, sleek and silent. Lila leaned closer. They looked like swords kilometers long, bristling with weapons. What? What are those? She whispered. Patel grinned. Earth's real first contact. The alien ships turned. To face the newcomers, cannons firing. The silver giants didn't flinch. Beams of energy lanced out, obliterating entire fleets in seconds. The invaders scattered, but it was too late. The destroyers moved like predators, cutting through the chaos. A message flashed across the screen in every language. This is not your planet. Leave or die. The survivors stared, stunned. Lila's heart pounded. Xerak's antennae quivered. Your kind? You built these? No, Patel said softly. We found them. The feed cut to static. Outside, the sky turned white. The sky turned white. Then red. Then black. Lila clutched Xerak's arm as the bunker trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling. Outside, the earth shook like it was screaming. The survivors in the bunker stared at the static-filled screen, their faces lit by the glow of dying ships. Did we win? The girl with the metal shard whispered. Commander Patel didn't answer. He typed furiously on the dusty keyboard, pulling up live feeds from around the world. In Tokyo, a destroyer sliced through a skyscraper-sized alien warship like a knife through butter. In Cairo, another hovered over the pyramids, its cannons vaporizing anything that moved. In New York, the Statue of Liberty stood unharmed, its torch pointing at the carnage above. They're not just fighting, Patel said, his voice shaking. They're cleaning up. Xerak's antennae twitched. Cleaning up what? The mess, Patel muttered. The invaders, the traitors, anyone who threatens Earth now. They're gone. Lila's stomach churned. She'd spent years studying alien cultures, learning their languages, their histories. She'd written essays about peace, but this wasn't peace. This was annihilation. Outside, the ground cracked. A deafening thud echoed through the bunker. Then another, and another. They're landing, Xerak hissed. His wings flared. We need to move, now. Patel grabbed his helmet. The signal. We have to send the message. The girl with the metal shard pointed at the screen. What message? That Earth's new gods are killing everything? No, Patel snapped. That we're still here. That we're not the enemy. The destroyers touched down like gods. They were taller than mountains, their silver hulls gleaming even through the smoke. No flags, no insignias. No one knew who built them, or how they'd stayed hidden for centuries. Some said they were ancient relics, buried in Earth's crust. Others claimed they'd come from the moon. But one thing was clear. They weren't human. Across the globe, the invaders tried to flee. Ships scrambled to escape the atmosphere, but the destroyers hunted them like prey. Beams of light lanced out, turning fleets into ash. Survivors on the ground surrendered, raising their hands, or claws, or whatever they had. Some wept. Some screamed. But not all. In the ruins of Berlin, a faction of reptilian warlords refused to retreat. They rallied their forces, charging the nearest destroyer with plasma tanks and sonic cannons. The machine didn't even look at them. It fired a single beam. The entire army vanished. In Moscow, a group of cyborg spies tried to hack the destroyers' systems. They failed. The machines responded by melting every electronic device within 100 miles, including the spies' own implants. And in the skies above Antarctica, a lone alien pilot, a teenage girl named Corin, watched her fleet die. She'd joined the invasion to prove herself, to earn her clan's respect. Now she gripped her ship's controls, tears streaking her scaled cheeks. "They lied to us," she whispered. "They said Earth was weak, defenseless." Her co-pilot, a hulking brute named Vec, growled, "We run, or we die." Corin hesitated. Her father had taught her that running was cowardice, but this wasn't a battle. It was a massacre. She turned the ship. Back in the bunker, Lila helped Zirak bandage his wounds. The insectoid winced as she pressed a cloth against his cracked exoskeleton. "You're bleeding," she said. "So are you," he replied, nodding at her scraped hands. She hadn't noticed. Adrenaline, probably. "Do you think your people will survive?" Zirak's mandibles twitched. "Some. The ones who didn't fight. The ones who didn't lie." His voice softened. "My sister. She's on a research station. If the destroyers spare scientists." Lila nodded. She wanted to comfort him, but words felt useless. Outside, the war was ending, or escalating. The destroyers hadn't stopped firing. Patel slammed his fist on the keyboard. "The signal's going out, but we don't know if anyone's listening." "Who's anyone?" the girl with the metal shard asked. Patel looked up. "The destroyers. The people who control them, if they even have controllers." A silence settled over the room. The thought hung in the air. What if Earth's saviors were worse than the invaders? The war ended at dawn. The destroyers stopped firing. Their beams dimmed. One by one, they rose into the clouds, vanishing into the stratosphere. The surviving aliens, those who hadn't been vaporized, surrendered. Human soldiers emerged, from hiding, rounding up prisoners. Governments reassembled. News anchors, trembling but alive, broadcast updates. Earth has won. Earth has won. But Lila didn't feel like they'd won. She stood at the edge of a crater where her university had been, staring at the charred remains of a desk. A single textbook lay open, its pages blackened. The title read, "Peaceful Coexistence, A Guide to Alien Diplomacy." Zirak landed beside her, his wings patched with torn cloth. "It's over," he said. "Is it?" He followed her gaze. "The destroyers left, the aliens are gone, you're safe now." "For how long?" He clicked his mandibles, unsure. A rumble split the sky. Not a destroyer. A plane. A human one. It soared overhead, dropping supplies and leaflets. "Rebuild. Reunite. Remember." Lila picked up the textbook, closing it gently. "Come on," she said. "Let's find Patel. Maybe he knows what happens next." Zirak followed. Behind them, the sun rose. The world didn't rebuild, it changed. Cities rose from ashes, but not the same ones. Governments scrambled to rewrite laws. Scientists dissected alien tech left behind. And everywhere, people stared at the sky, wondering, who built the destroyers? Lila stood on a rooftop in Shanghai, her mom's city, now half ruined but flickering with new lights. She watched a patrol drone buzz past, a human-made one, clumsy compared to the alien machines it replaced. Below, survivors argued over food rations. A poster on the wall read, "Trust no one, not even the stars." Zirak landed beside her, his patched-up wings humming. His exoskeleton had healed, leaving jagged scars. "You're frowning again," he said. "I'm thinking." "You always frown when you think." She elbowed him. He clicked his mandibles, almost a laugh. They'd been through too much to pretend politeness. A month had passed since the war ended. The surviving aliens, those who hadn't fled, were locked in camps or forced to work as translators. Some humans called it justice. Others called it slavery. Lila didn't know what to call it. She just knew Zirak was one of the lucky ones. "You got a message," he said, handing her a cracked tablet. She opened it. Her professor, Glorb, had survived. His hologram flickered. "Lila, the university is reopening. We need voices like yours. Come back." She snorted. "Reopening?" The campus was a crater. Zirak tilted his head. You're not going, are you? I don't know. What's the point? We studied aliens to understand them. But it turns out we didn't need to understand them, we just needed bigger guns. He flared his wings. Not all of us are like the invaders. I know. But do they? She jabbed a thumb at the streets where a mob shouted at a group of surrendered aliens. Every time someone sees a green face or a tail, they think war. Xerax. Antennae drooped. My sister wrote to me, she's on a research station, they're safe, but she says the galaxy's calling Earth a monster. Are we? He didn't answer. Commander Patel found them at dusk. He wore a new uniform, black with a silver star emblem. They're making me a diplomat, he said, grinning. Can you believe it? An astronaut turned politician. Lila raised an eyebrow. What do you have to say about that? That I'd rather be in space. He handed her a file. But first, I need your help. Inside were schematics of the destroyers. Diagrams, energy readings, blurry photos taken from satellites. At the bottom, a single line of text. They responded to a signal. Lila's breath caught. Someone called them? Patel nodded. We've been decrypting old records. Turns out Earth's been broadcasting messages into deep space for decades. Not just random noise, specific frequencies, codes. He leaned closer, and 3 days before the invasion, the signal changed. To what? A warning. Xerax antennae twitched. Why would Earth warn them? Because we weren't asking for help, Patel said. We were telling them to stay away. Lila stared at the file. So the destroyers weren't rescuing us. They were enforcing a rule. Exactly. Patel's smile vanished. And now, the galaxy knows Earth isn't defenseless. They're afraid of us. The university reopened in a bomb shelter. Lila sat at a folding table surrounded by survivors, human and alien. Xerax hovered near the ceiling, his wings folded tight. Professor Glorb oozed onto the stage, his gelatinous body glowing faintly. We all gather not to forget the past, Glorb said, but to shape the future. Earth's voice is louder now. But what will we say? A murmur spread through the room. A human student raised her hand. How can we trust them? They lied to us. An alien girl stood, Corin, the pilot who'd fled the battle. Her scales were dulled with dust, her eyes tired. We were lied to, too. My people thought Earth was weak. We were wrong. A man in the back shouted, Wrong or not, you're here now. What's stopping us from locking you all up? Xerax, mandibles snapped. You think we're the threat? Look at your own governments. They're building weapons, copying alien tech, training soldiers. He pointed at Lila. She told me once that Earth's real power isn't its weapons. It's its stories. So tell me, what story are you writing now? Silence. Lila stood. Her voice was shaky, but she made herself speak. We spent years studying each other. We learned languages, customs, histories, and when the war came, we threw it all away. We saw enemies instead of people. She looked at Corin. You fought for a lie. So did we. But now we're here. Together. A beat. Then Glorb pulsed blue. Then let us begin again. Weeks turned into months. The destroyers never returned. Rumors spread. They'd gone deeper into space. They'd been destroyed. They'd never existed. They were just holograms. Patel dismissed them all. They're waiting, he said. Like watchdogs. Earth's leaders debated what to do. Some wanted to attack alien worlds to strike first. Others pushed for peace, fearing another destroyer-level response. Lila's podcast. Understanding aliens, without letting them trample us, became required listening in schools. She interviewed former invaders, defectors, even Corin. She didn't excuse their actions, but she made people listen. Xerax stayed with her. He became a translator, a bridge between species. Sometimes he'd joke about going home. But he never did. One night, under a sky free of warships, Lila asked him why. He clicked his mandibles. Because I'm scared. Of what? That if I leave, you'll forget us. Forget that not all aliens are monsters. She punched his arm. You're the most annoying non-monster I know. How could I forget? He flared his wings, almost a smile. Above them, the stars glittered. Somewhere out there, the destroyers waited. Somewhere out there, enemies plotted. But for now, there was peace. For now, there was hope. 5 years passed. The world hadn't forgotten the war, but it had moved on. Cities rebuilt themselves taller and brighter. New laws banned alien disguises and weapons testing. Schools taught 2 histories, one about the invasion, another about the destroyers who saved Earth. But no one knew the truth. Not really. Lila Chen sat in a sleek glass-walled studio in Geneva, adjusting her headset. A holographic camera blinked at her. Behind it stood a crew of humans and aliens, Zirak among them, his wings folded neatly under his translators. Jacket. His scars had faded, but his antennae still twitched when he was nervous. Welcome back to Understanding Aliens, Lila said, smiling at the lens. Today we're talking to someone special, a diplomat from the planet Varn. Let's see if we can avoid another intergalactic punch-up, huh? The audience chuckled. The Varnian diplomat, a jellyfish-like being in a gravity suit, hummed in amusement. The episode rolled. Lila asked questions about Varn's culture, their bioluminescent art, their distrust of loud noises. It was all lighthearted until the end. Last question, Lila said, leaning forward. Do you think the galaxy still sees Earth as a threat? The Varnian pulsed blue. Some do, but many more see you as unpredictable, a species that hides its strength until it's too late. Lila nodded. That's fair. The screen cut to credits. Zirak landed beside her, clicking his mandibles. You dodged that well. I didn't dodge anything, I just let the truth speak for itself. She stood, stretching. How's the translation team? Arguing, he said. As always. They walked out into the bustling hallway of the United Earth Broadcast Center. Posters plastered the walls. Peace through understanding. And trust but stay alert. The war had left scars, but it had also built bridges. Lila's podcast, once a ramshackle project recorded in a bunker, was now a global institution. Governments quoted her episodes. Aliens requested interviews. Even the president listened. Zirak nudged her. You got a visitor. A girl stood by the elevator, her scales glittering faintly in the light. Corin, the reptilian pilot who'd fled the battle, now a junior diplomat for her people. She bowed her head respectfully. Lila, she said, we've got a problem. The problem arrived in the form of a ship, not alien, not human. It hovered over the Pacific, silent and black, shaped like a jagged asteroid. No flags, no signals, just waiting. Lila, Zirak, and Corin stood in the United Earth Council chamber, a circular room filled with holograms of leaders from every continent. The president, a former soldier named Elena Reyes, tapped her tablet. It's not responding. To hails, she said, and it's not moving, but we've got reports of energy spikes inside. Another destroyer? Someone asked. No, Patel said, his voice gruff. He'd grown older, his hair streaked with gray. This isn't one of ours. Lila frowned. What do we know? Nothing, Reyes admitted. But if it fires, we'll be sitting ducks. Silence. Then Zirak spoke. Let me go. Lila turned. What? I'll go to the ship. Alone. If they're hostile, maybe they'll listen to an alien. If they're not, we'll know faster. No way, Corin snapped. You'll die. They won't kill me, Zirak said. Not if they're smart. Earth's not defenseless anymore. Reyes studied him. You're volunteering to be bait? Call it diplomacy. Lila grabbed his arm. This is insane. He clicked his mandibles, a half smile. You taught me words matter. Let me prove it. The shuttle ride was silent. Zirak floated in 0G, staring at the black ship. It loomed larger with every second, its surface reflecting the stars like a void. The shuttle docked. The hatch opened, No one greeted him. He stepped inside. The interior was empty, cold metal, no lights, no sounds. His antennae twitched. This isn't a warship. It was a message. A door slid open. Inside stood a figure, humanoid but taller, with silver skin and eyes like galaxies. It didn't speak, it didn't need to. Sirac bowed. "Hello." The figure tilted its head. Then in perfect English, "We watched. We waited. You are different." "Different how?" "You hide your power. You use words before weapons. You remember." Zyrek's mandibles flared. "You're the ones who built the destroyers." The figure didn't answer. It handed Zyrak a small, glowing cube. Then it vanished. Back on Earth, Lila paced the control room. Zyrek's shuttle returned. He stumbled out, clutching the cube. "What happened?" Lila demanded. "They're not here to fight," he said. "They're here to test us." The cube projected a message. "Your species is no longer prey. You are now watched." Years later, the galaxy learned to fear Earth. But not for its weapons. It feared Earth's stories. Lila's podcast became a tool for peace. Her episodes dissected alien cultures, taught empathy, exposed lies. Governments used her research to negotiate treaties. Schools taught her methods. Zyrak became the first alien ambassador to the UN. Corin led a delegation to rebuild her clan's reputation. And the destroyers? They never returned. But everyone knew they were out there. Waiting. One day, a new alien ship arrived, a trade vessel from a distant star system. Its captain, a squid-faced diplomat, asked to meet Lila. She greeted him in his native tongue. He blinked. "You speak Or language?" She smiled. "I like to listen." He handed her a gift, a seed. "From our homeworld. It grows in darkness, but it blooms in light." She planted it in a pot on her desk. It never flowered, not yet, but someday. The sky stayed quiet. Earth stayed awake, and the universe finally understood.